What's up, friends and family? Christopher Vogt here. Here's an update on the garden. Alright, so here's some rosemary. 2 plants. So here's a cabbage, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. 5-gallon buckets with them in there. I use manure and 9-month feed, potting soil, spearmint. There's 4 trash cans that I cut in half. I took my chocolate mint out to get rid of some weeds, but they have grown pretty well in there. But here's the mulberry. I transplanted it into a big pot there. Same soil. Can't see too much because I put some topsoil in there. But these were just small in the last updates. And some other potted plants. Some herbs and stuff. Chocolate mint, like I said, there's 4 trash cans that are good repelling raccoons or possums or something. So I dug up all the chocolate mint and put them in some pots here too. Here is the potting soil is garden soil, not very good. Potting soil is very better for aeration and not root rot, but margarine there. And so this is just the border of the garden, not inside the garden. Here's some chocolate mint. Mulberry actually shot a flower there, but I don't think anything's going to become of it. 3-year process of. And so I just pulled the chocolate mint out and then put it in these trash cans here. We did have 40-degree weather in Florida. So what you see there is some damaged okra, some wildflowers, tomato plant, tomato, some other tomatoes. About 50 gallons of buckets in there, about 10 buckets. There's some parsley I grew from seed. Picked up this plant trio. It's got some parsley on each side. It's got some Italian basil, sweet. It's got some mint there. And then it's got some thyme, which I like to put it with, oops, I did some gardening. Put it with rosemary. Here's a mole flower. It was a gift. This was a gift too. It's a cactus and some wildflowers there. Chocolate mints come up quite a bit since transplanted, really hardy. Spearmint. Last time we seen the lettuce, it wasn't as lush, but it's ready to be eaten. Potted lettuce is the way to go. They didn't do too well there germinating, but they're good. I know what these ones are. They're cabbage. Goes down there. Cabbage. And then some romaine lettuce. So for an update, I added 20 bags of topsoil and 10 bags of cow manure. I added 72 plants of vegetables and got them all in. Got the manure, got the topsoil on all the plants. We're about to find out. What is that? And that's broccoli. Alright, so I picked up some cabbage. They're kind of close, but really didn't have a choice there. Cabbage along there. 6 plants. Actually 12, but they're not all right there. Alright, the Chinese cabbage is growing somewhat. I still smell the manure in the topsoil, a good fertilizer. Purple cabbage, should have had the topsoil in there first, but We got it in there. Here's the other 6 of the cabbage. They're just regular cabbage. Alright, so I got jalapeno peppers. I just swallow them with milk and then eat yogurt with the Tabasco and habanero because they are hot, but good capsaicin for you. Here's a garden sage. About 18 jalapeno pepper plants. I staked them. They don't need to be staked, but thought I would aerate better with the stake in there. Alright, so 18 different tomato or same tomato plants, and they're growing well. 6-pack. They got some tomatoes on them, but definitely liking the cooler weather for them. But got a nice load of topsoil in all the plants, and we should see accelerated growth. So here's cauliflower. That's a nice cauliflower there. Cauliflower. Here's some broccoli. Kale. It's doing alright there. Alright, so my mustards, well, this one is flowering, but shouldn't hurt anything. I did eat some mustard, it was very strong. But the 6-pack definitely grown. Still dealing with little bugs, but when I cut it back to eat some, it definitely did grow quite a bit from there. Got leaf lettuce. Leaf lettuce. It's starting to bolt. Just cut those off. Some flowered plants. This is a big lettuce. So these ones are really taking off. Here's some romaine. I'm not sure how it grows very often. I think it bolts this time of year, I'm guessing, but those need to be cut off. There's some spearmint. What I'm going to do is just buy some 5-gallon buckets or pots or something and just take all the bents out because they really take over. Turnips, they do have some bulbs on them, but they don't like too cold temperatures, so we'll have to harvest some turnip greens or something. So new additions, snap peas. I'm going to add some more stakes, but 12 of those, 6-packs. 12 celery plants. I put the manure heavily on this side. I don't know how everybody's going to react, but celery. 6 of the snap peas, kind of trellised or staked them. What would you say, Chris? Stir fry broccoli. There's 24 of them. And they really do light up on the camera, though. 24 stir fry broccoli. Should grow nice and lush there. And yeah. So I'm just staying on the borders, then I'll get inside. Just the garden. Carrots. I did fertilize this a little bit of the peppermint. Cold snap happened. A lot of the baby basil just melted. But some Lowe's wildflowers here. Wonder what they'll become. Other side of the carrots. Got some good carrot greens there. On the side of the wildflowers. Potted wildflower. Starting to shoot its flowers out. Should get some good pollination. The basil is about done for the season. I'm just gonna cut it up and freeze it probably. Theme will probably last, I'm not sure. But I'm gonna take this chocolate mint and put it in a pot and just repel rodents, rats, possums, raccoons, so on and forth. But it is running. Here's a nice cabbage. I did put a lot of topsoil on here, but it should be alright. Dwarf blueberry bush there. Another theme. I think it's ready. So I put a lot of topsoil in the garden Definitely is going to help. Some fertilizer and growth. Wildflower. It's been in here for the whole season. So it's nice and lush. Some more cabbage. I'm going to cut the kumquat tree. It's shaded my garden, so just take some limbs off the side and it should increase growth. And then raspberry bush, 2 of them. Here's beautiful lemon balm, mint family, very tasty, very good for you. It's broccoli. Alright, so here's some garlic chives. It does flower, and the flowers are edible from May and January or something like that. But we still got some time to go for that. Roots down there for the wildflower. The pollinators really love the flowers, that's for sure. So this was just a mint I found and planted it, and it's starting to run already. But some bell pepper, some cabbage, some broccoli. There's a wildflower. Like I said, guys, we're just going to stay on the borders right now. It's too difficult to go through the whole garden right now. Another wildflower. Sage tree should shoot its blooms out very soon. Add some extra pollination in the garden. That should be good. Been in here for about 2-3 years. Once we get that kumquat tree trimmed back, we'll get a lot more growth here. Broccoli, did eat some leaves here. It's got some new growth after I cut the seed pods and the flowers off. So that's a good sign. Nice good leaves there. And grown from seed. Some broccoli there. Wildflower, this is actually the biggest one. I'll probably have to go out to see the whole thing, but you have to see it in person, eh? But it's massive. This was bought our seed annual from Amazon, but the pollinators are on here all day, and there's another one there. This wildflower has 3 stakes. That's how big it is. Stake 1, stake twice, stake 3 times. Here's a purple tomato plant. It's melted back all of its stems, but it's good at the top. Let's see here. Got some onions grown from seed. They could be yellow or red, one or the other. Basil made it through the cold. Some bell peppers. Got 1 bell pepper off them from seed. The bell peppers are grown, but some bell peppers there. Purple tomato plant. So what happened here, I planted them too deep, but they're coming back slowly but surely. Oh, is that bell? Kale. All kale. What you see is a lot of manure or topsoil. The okra got some damage from the cold, but we shall see. We shall see. Basil grown from germination and water. We got a habanero or Tabasco pepper. So my opinion is that the jalapenos are least hottest when they're green. The habanero are next when they're green, and the Tabasco are the hottest, the most juiciest. So that's just my opinion. So we got all the stakes taken out. We got 2 stems here. Goes up. I've got some tomatoes, but I have to get the big ladder or big trellis in there or stake. But nice and big. It's got some flowers, producing a little bit of tomatoes. You should see what the topsoil on the roots are. Some Georgia collard greens. I think there's 12 here. Goes through here. I cut back yesterday or last night. Stevia flowers in fall. That's when it shoots its flowers out. What you do is just make sure they're cut back, and it should be producing more stevia. But this has been in here for maybe 4 months, and it was small, but it grew up to this. So here are 2 jalapeno large pepper plants. They were big when I bought them. I think Walmart had them, but they produce every now and again. This is the smaller lemongrass. It's big, but the other 2 are bigger. Have harvested some for tea and stuff for family and friends. Here's a wildflower batch, Amazon, and it was in a pot for a couple months, and I put it in the ground, and it definitely took off. It's got some flowers here, but it'll definitely shoot a lot more flowers out. Here's a theme, and I did cut it back and froze all the flowers and stems that I cut, so they're in the freezer ready for tea or something like that. Here's another Tabasco. There's 3 Tabasco pepper plants in here, but definitely enjoy the hotness of them. Alright, so here's a different, this is Amazon flowers. Got some nice white flowers and purple, but nice and big. Your lavender will last up to 15 years, but if it gets too much water, it doesn't like that. It's drought tolerant, so it's really died back. There's a couple stems that are still kicking, but okay. So here's another. These are collard greens, Georgia, and then some cabbage in there under the sage tree, of course. Wildflower is pretty much done, but still got some foliage on it. This wildflower hasn't bloomed yet, but I wouldn't hold my breath. It's probably on its way to blooming. Here's a pretty wildflower. This one's quite newer. It was in the potted plant, or pot, and then it was transplanted, and it was about this tall, and then it grew up to that. But pretty flowers are good for pollinators. Yeah, get in here. Brussels sprouts, 6-pack, great deal. Got some yellow mustard here, 6-pack. Got some wildflowers from the seed, and then some lavender. Broccoli under the sage tree. Here's a wildflower, shooting its wildflowers out. Getting some good pollination for the bees and insects and stuff. And then there's some from the seed it fell. But I put a lot of topsoil all over the plants, and it should do a boosting effect, you should say. So I bought these 2 lemongrass at Lowe's about maybe 3 months ago. About 3 months ago. They were big. They were well kept, watered and everything at Lowe's, and they just got massive when I planted them. Ready for the season when I planted them. But the aroma, Cammy, the cat, she loves to chew on the leaves. It's good for kind of a catnip effect, but definitely lush and green. Another wildflower here. This was a different order from Amazon. It's got some gorgeous flowers. Here, let's see. Yeah, it's not opened yet, but it's a different kind. Here's spearmint grown from seed. Here's some herbs, watercress, parsley, arugula, some basil. I don't think it's going to last, but here's some eggplant, waiting for some eggplant there. And then I went on a wildflower planting spree there. Let's see if I can get over here, guys. Eggplant. This is the bigger one. I did tie every stem, just ready for. I forgot that one, but trying to get some eggplant here. Some basil grown from seed. You see here it melted back a little bit from the cold. Guys, I don't know if I got this one, but Tabasco pepper plant. It's got some new flowers. Should produce. Here's another wildflower plant. It was in the same one as the other pot. There are 2 different ones, and planting them separate, of course, but definitely nice and lush. Should create some late fall flowers. Here's an oregano plant, doing good there. Put some topsoil on all the plants, should give a boost. So what I'm going to do with this okra plant, wait till they bloom some okra, then I'll cut them all back, and then we should get a late crop. I should have did it a couple weeks ago, but that's what Google said. Just cut them halfway, and then you can see lowered there. It's producing some leaves, but yep. Didn't get any topsoil on this one, but peppermint, and then some transplanted water germination on the mint. It's really easy to mint or propagate them and just grow. Here's some garlic chives, store-bought. Some little tomatoes, big tomatoes, wildflowers like crazy. They're all shooting their flowers out. So here's some stir-fry broccoli, and this one's really taking off there. Here's a peppermint. This one was another plant, but starting to run there. Kind of what they do. Did I get that one? Did I? This is another one. Garlic chives. There's 4 plants of garlic chives in the garden. So I did harvest some of the collard greens. They were very good, but didn't get them nice and lush. When they grow too close together, just thin them out, eat them. They should do just fine. Some kale. Kale's grown since the last update. Same with these collard greens. It's only 6. Sweet banana peppers. They should really explode with all the topsoil I put on them. But then some kale. Kale's doing good in this spot. 2 more sweet banana pepper plants. Some broccoli. Yeah, it kind of cuts me off here. I'll show you the stakes, guys. So there's 1, 2, 3. And the third one is the biggest. But we'll get on the outside and look at it, but they're just massive. Excuse me. So I harvested some lemongrass, very good for tea. So I put a bunch of topsoil down by the roots, so when it gets cold, it kind of warms them up. And then there's just some wildflowers that the seeds fell and they grew. Yeah, I don't think the basil's gonna last through winter, but we'll see. Another wildflower. Oh my goodness, they're massive. This is the other side. I couldn't imagine these things dying. They're so lush and oh my goodness, they're so massive. Oh my goodness. Oh. Here's the other side of the. I can't walk that way because that stake breaks my path. But broccoli doing all right. You probably tell, but I like broccoli. Then more broccoli down here. Broccoli, I got that one. So all these have roots down here, and I put the soil, so it should give them an extra boost. Family and friends, there's the update on the garden. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment and your thoughts of how everything's going along. Alright guys, till next time, peace.